Welcome to Side Effects, Effect versus Affect. It's hard to know the difference. At McGohan Brabender, our goal is to provoke you to think differently about employee benefits, your employees, and the status quo. That's why it's Side Effects with an A. Join me, Kenzie McEvily, and my co-host Dave Homan, a 20-plus year veteran in the employee benefits industry, to simplify what you need to know as the end of the year approaches. In this episode, we'll be providing you with the 3 things to look at to get your benefits in order before 2023 arrives. Let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Side Effects. Dave, thank you for joining me. And can you believe we're only a few weeks away from a new year?
Yeah, it's the hustle and bustle of the holidays.
Absolutely. And so this topic today that we're going to discuss has been covered in so many different forms. We've had PDFs and flyers, informational videos, but we've never done a podcast. So we thought this was the perfect time to remind people of all ages what they should do to wrap up their benefits for 1 year as they head into a new year. So I have 3 main points today that I want to hit on. The first one being a flexible spending account, or an FSA. So what do employees need to know about this benefit?
Well, in the past, it was the use it or lose it.
Yep.
And then they've loosened the restrictions and they're allowing for a certain amount of rollover. But you definitely want to understand and recognize how much money is in the account. Mm-hmm. And if things are coming up that you can utilize it, utilize the account for, certainly go ahead and take advantage of that. Sometimes it's the gentle nudge that you need to get something done. Like, I need to have that eye appointment so I can get my contacts or new frames taken care of. Things of that. The dental appointment that I've been putting off, getting that filling replaced. Things like that.
It's a good motivator. And I even noticed on Amazon that they have a section at the top that says these items qualify for FSA spending, which is awesome.
Yeah, if there's medical devices that you use, you can use it for that. If cleaning supplies for CPAP machines,
right.
I mean, it's amazing how much the IRS has opened up and made it more user-friendly to use FSA accounts for. That being said, be smart and don't take advantage of it, because there's also the technology that will track you down and find you if you're using it for that big screen television.
Yep. Exactly. Don't put your Christmas list on that FSA. So now let's turn to our second point, is the health savings account, or HSA. And we have a lot of renewals on January 1st. And if you do have multiple options, you should look at your claims for the year, and we got to do the math. We've been preaching to do the math. And I hate doing the math, which is funny that I'm giving this advice. So what's your suggestions for an HSA?
Yeah, so understand and just don't put on autopilot. Understand what your new deductible will be, because chances are the deductible will go up annually, just as inflation has gone up.
Yep.
Take into account inflation, how much more expensive everything is. So what are the recurring expenses that you have as far as maintenance, drugs, things that need to be taken care of every year? Are things changing in your family? Are you expecting a child? Do you have an elective surgery that's coming up? To just try to anticipate life as much as you can. But the important thing is just understand and look at the prescriptions you're on. Nothing wreaks havoc as far as unpredictability with your health plan more than drug formularies
changing,
shifting, drugs coming off of lists and then being available to get over the counter, things like that have to do with your prescription drugs. So understand how that's working.
And that's the third main topic, is your prescriptions, specifically copay programs. And, it's the end of the year. What do people need to do to make sure that they're getting their medication on time, especially during the holiday season?
Yeah. Okay. So even if your health plan doesn't renew the first of the year, your deductible may be on a calendar year basis. Everything, January 1st is that magical date. And that's why we see people, man, trying to get their health care done the last week of the year because they've met their deductible and they know that they're, it's their dime.
In a surgery.
Yeah, they're doing everything they can trying to get all these elective procedures done because they've met their deductible. But giving yourself enough time to get those things scheduled, getting your prescriptions filled, just because
they're bombarded.
Everything resets on the 1st.
Yep.
And problems happen. We see them. We hear about them all the time. Like, the system didn't reset. The new drug formulary didn't get plugged in properly. They didn't receive their ID cards because they had a super late enrollment. Maybe didn't get their ID card. So what you want is you don't want to be without a prescription that you need to get filled on January 2nd and not able to fill it, or knowing that, oh my gosh, I suddenly have to pony up $700 for this prescription and then be reimbursed later. Or I could have gotten it filled under last year's plan, but I just didn't get around to it.
Right.
So take a look and see what you're eligible to refill that's out there. Figure out, and especially if there is a carrier change, make sure that you get the things taken care of because you don't want to be without medications. That's the big consideration.
Right. And you also want to make sure you are checking your tiers if they've changed. And if you have a generic or a brand name or a specialty drug, that you can ask your doctor to change it to be the generic. And we preach this all the time is ask for the generic, and then hopefully you'll be saving a ton of money.
Yeah, and that's a great point, especially if there's a carrier change, because don't assume because your copay for this drug was $40 every month for it, that with the new carrier, it's going to be $40. Check your drug formulary, and you may find that it's in a different tier, and that $40 is now $140. Make sure that you budget and set aside that additional funds in your HSA plan.
Yep.
While we're talking about prescription drugs that's out there are many people that are out there on copay assistance programs, and we want to make sure that they all run differently. So check with them and see, is it something that needs to be renewed annually? Do I need to have a new drug card number issued? Is it coordinating? If you have a carrier change, make sure they know the second you get your new prescription drug card, because it will be denied when you're trying to get it filled. You're going to be hit. Usually if there's a prescription drug program, it's a really costly drug.
Yep.
And the first 3 weeks of the year with all of these companies, you will sit on hold for hours upon hours, only to be told.
Speaking from experience?
Only to be told that, oh, no, you need to call them first and then call us back. You will spend your entire month of January on hold if you're not proactive and you don't have all of your ducks in a row when it comes to prescription copay assistance programs. It's the most frustrating time of the year is getting that first script filled during the month of January.
You have to make sure your enrollment continues and re-enroll to continue the savings. So.
Understand how long the card is good for. Does a new card need to be issued? Is there anything that you need to get, again, authorized by your doctor?
Yep.
And you going back to your carrier change. You want to find out with the plan, your new health carrier, is there a step therapy program? Are you going to have trouble filling that script? So just because you're on prescription A and you go to get it filled in January and you're going to find it was denied because the new carrier says, nope, before you've done this, you need to try this drug. So understand and ask questions before you get to January.
Yep. And so another tip that we promise isn't a secret, but it's the discount drug companies that can help you save money. Like we use GoodRx or Cost Plus Drugs. And a lot of times prices can change. So always check those sites.
Yeah.
Right?
Understand what's available to you, especially, there are a lot of people that have chronic conditions that they may blow through their deductible, out-of-pocket maximum, and so they're not really concerned with the cost. But when that renews or they get to the beginning of the next plan year, understand what all your options are. And honestly, you should care. Even if you've met your deductible and your out-of-pocket maximum,
Yep.
Even though you're saying, well, I don't pay for it, you do pay for it because at some point your renewal will show that, your monthly premiums will show that. So every employee, every covered dependent under that company's health plan has a responsibility to make the right decisions, smart decisions.
Absolutely. And so those are our three main things we wanted you to look at before the new year: your FSA, your HSA, and your prescriptions.
Yeah. And look, the other thing I would say is on your prescriptions, one other thing is every year, even during the year, this is a great end of the year deal because it's a reminder. It's like when the time changes, check the battery in your smoke alarm.
Yep.
But look up, if you're on a drug that it's a brand name drug because it's a newer drug, go out and search on the internet and say, when will blah, blah, blah be available generic, or when does the patent expire?
Okay.
Because that may happen during the course of the year. And you have the ability to, because typically what will happen is the carriers try to send out letters and say, just as an FYI, this is coming off the formulary list, so you're going to pay for it. But if you can plan for that in advance, that drug, so a situation where you've met your deductible, you've met your out-of-pocket cost, but suddenly that drug comes off the formulary list, you're going to start paying for that drug. So look it up and find the date and budget accordingly.
Well, that's a pro tip. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
From Dave Homan, our veteran.
That's a freebie, but the rest will cost you. So.
Is there anything else that you think our listeners should know as the end of the year wraps up here?
Yeah, the only other thing that I would do is just understand before you get to that last month of the year is if your company has an incentive program, premium incentive program that's tied to getting your preventive screenings done, having biometric screenings, things like that. Understand before you get to the month of December of things you need to complete because it is nearly impossible during the month of December to get a doctor's appointment for anything that's not acute care.
Oh, yeah.
You got flu season, you've got kids home from college trying to get into the doctors, and your inability to plan should not be create a crisis situation for your family doctor.
Correct. Nope, that's it. So that's our short and sweet guide for members enrolled in their benefits to do before the start of a new year. So thank you, Dave, for your knowledge and your insight and your tips.
Yeah, thanks.
And if you have any questions or comments on this topic, you can email me at kenzie@healthierbirthdays.com.
Or Dave at healthierbirthdays.com.
Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next time on Side Effects.